Hello everyone, welcome to the Rangers Reviews live build-up from Ibrox with your team news ahead of today's friendly match against Hamburg. Rangers, of course, in action for the second time in pre-season after the midweek's game against Newcastle, which was obviously as well Alan McGregor's testimonial. Today, their second attempt against an opponent who should pose a little bit more of an even threat. Newcastle, certainly a difficult opposition on the start of pre-season, and the team is as follows, as you can see on the screen ahead of you. First, a few surprises in that 11. I guess that's kind of what pre-season is all about. To try things out, maybe some players, playing for not necessarily the future, but I guess always in pre-season there's going to be an element of player who isn't going to be around as well, and some new faces who mainly start on the bench today. I'll take you through the starting 11, and then we can maybe discuss some of the specifics, who could play where, and what the shape of the team might look like. So obviously Jack Butland in goals. He came on for Alan McGregor after about 35 minutes in midweek, but he plays from the start today. An opportunity to see him again. I thought on Tuesday night he was quick off his line on a couple of occasions, looked quite comfortable with the ball at his feet. But again, it's all just kind of preliminaries at this stage, isn't it? So looking forward to seeing him ahead or behind, I should say, a back four of James Tavernier, Leon Balogun, Ben Davies and Ridvan Yilmaz. John Souttar is on the bench. Rangers, as has been quite well documented, I guess the area of the pitch they've not really strengthened with their first teamer yet is the centre of defence. Remains to kind of be seen what happens there, but at the moment, with Connor Goldson still working his way back from injury, and Michael Beale really needs those first choice three options, Balogun, Davies and Souttar, to be up and ready. So no surprise to see a bit of rotation in that area. Leon Balogun, who spoke to the media on Thursday, you can watch that all on the YouTube channel, gets his first start since returning to the club. And Ridvan Yilmaz, I guess the majority of people would presume that Ridvan Yilmaz is going to be the starting left back this season. So again, no real surprise to see him in there. I thought off the bench on Tuesday night, he gave a lot of energy, and I just feel the balance of the team looks better with him there. He's someone who's quite happy to run beyond, more of a passer than a crosser, and I think that dynamic works quite well. Of course, James Tavernier with Dujon Sterling still working his way back to fitness after that hamstring. Not hamstring, it was a calf injury in the first couple of weeks of pre-season. James Tavernier predictably starts there. The base of midfield, Nico Raskin, who again, fantastic to see him come off the bench on Tuesday night, and again with all the caveats of it being friendly and not mattering that much. I just think at the base of midfield he improves this team so much. Be interesting to see if Michael Beale opts to play him there or opts to play him a little bit higher over the course of this season. I think he can obviously do either very well, but he's often at his best, I think, at the base of midfield when there's pressure on the ball, when maybe it's on him to try and pass or carry his way out of trouble, as I think he did and showed he can do against Newcastle. And he lines up at the base of midfield ahead of quite an attacking midfield three with Kieran Dowell. Presumably, I'm going to say on the left-hand side because that's where he played against Newcastle. And then Yanis Hadji, the manager, was asked about playing Hadji slightly deeper on the pitch after the game on Tuesday, and he reasoned that he wants his attackers playing facing forward as opposed to their back to goal. If you think of where Hadji would play nominally in a Rangers shirt, if he was at a number 10, he'd maybe receiving with his back to goal and having to twist and turn, which maybe isn't as much of his game, particularly if you think he's had that injury which has derailed a year and a half of his career. Is this a role that could suit him, where he has more touches of the ball, where he is more involved, and it's less about perhaps, as Bill mentioned, receiving with his back to goal, having to turn and face the play, but instead he can get on the ball and try and dictate it from deep. I guess there's always been the question mark with Hadji is, does he have the other qualities, the other side of his game to play that number 8 position? Steven Gerrard did it a couple of times towards, I think, the very end of his time at the club, but didn't do it all that often. I think at the end of the 55 season, he did play there a couple of times as well. So interested to see how he gets on. And then the front three, interested to see how this front three shapes up. What you would say, looking at the profiles of Sima, Sakala and Matondo altogether, is Rangers probably aren't going to sit off. They're probably going to go and press the game quite high. Neither of those players, I presume it's going to be Sima in the middle, but And neither of those players are really focal points who maybe like a Dessers or a Lammers are going to be able to always, excel with their back to goal. We know that Sakala and Matondo played quite a lot towards the end of last season. Probably not, you'd presume, first choices heading into the season. Obviously, there's been a lot of speculation about Fashion Sakala's future, where he could end up. A lot of good numbers under Beale towards the end of last season. I guess in the transfer market, you're always trying to upgrade, aren't you? And if you could get a good price for him, I think the majority of people would agree that would be good business. But he starts today, and Rabi Matondo as well, someone who Rangers' career's never really kicked off at all. This obviously is only his second season. It's always hard to know whether a manager is giving players a chance in these pre-season games, or whether it's just a case of, for example, Cyril Dessers, who will come on to, is on the bench. It's just about only giving him 45 minutes. But regardless of shape, I think what you would say from that profile is this is a Rangers team today that is going to play on the front foot. You've not got many defensive profiles in that team whatsoever. Two really attacking, creative number eights. And one of which might push a little bit higher. Nico Raskin is someone who is going to as well look to play forward quickly, normally from the base in midfield, and then a front three who are going to, I guess, look to run beyond when there is that space to do so, but also press the game probably quite aggressively. The bench: Robbie McCrory, John McLaughlin, John Lundstrom, John Suter, Cyril Dessers, whole of Ibrox. We'll be looking forward to seeing him today, and as well as that, Tom Lawrence. Fantastic to see him back in the matchday squad for the first time in a long time, almost a year. As we spoke about on the channel this week. So hopefully he will be able to get some minutes at some point. Again, Michael Beale spoke midweek about Lawrence thinking he was ready and they were just going to have to assess it nearer the time. So great to see him back in contention. A lot of people think he'll play quite a big role this season. It's a busy area of the park, but competition is certainly a good thing. And when you look at the rest of that bench, Todd Cantwell, Sam Lammers, Kemar Roof, another player who we'll hope his injury issues, he's left them somewhat behind him. You look at his last 3 seasons, I think it was something around 30 appearances, 25 to 30 appearances for his first 2 seasons at Rangers, and then much lower last season around. So he'll hope that he can play some sort of a role this season. Again, remains to be seen, won't hold our breath. Borna Barisic, Johnny Ifeko and Bailey Rice. So you'd imagine that on the basis of that bench, there'll be a lot of changes today for Rangers' second pre-season game against Hamburg here at Ibrox. We'll have lots of coverage for you as ever. We'll have written coverage for you after the game. Myself and Johnny will be live about an hour and a half after the game to discuss the manager's press conference, which you'll be able to watch here as well. And of course, as always, lots of content coming throughout the week, looking back on this game as we look ahead to the start of the new season, which is only a couple of weeks away. But until then, thanks very much for joining me for our pre-match briefing, and we will speak to you after the game. Until then, enjoy it wherever you're watching it.